am compelled by Schlock.
Well, turn that frown schlock side down. We are reviewing Jon Watts' Clown. I am Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson. With me is Chris Anonymous, and we are your hosts for tonight's show. How you doing, Chris?
Very well. Very well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We got an interesting movie today. I think we have. I don't know if we're going to pick it apart. Because we've talked earlier, and I think we both agree that it's not a bad movie. In fact, it's probably a pretty good movie, but there are just some things that don't sit right with us, and we're going to get into that. So, as I said, we're talking about the movie Clown. It came out in kind of a really weird time frame. I don't know if you knew this or not. So it was released internationally first, I believe, in 2014, and it finally got a release in the States in 2016. Interestingly enough, this movie, it started off as a short film, and by short film I mean a mock trailer. So Jon Watts created a trailer, and he put in the trailer from the master of horror, Eli Roth. Which, so if you know who Eli Roth is, the Green Inferno, Cabin in the Woods, Cabin Fever,
Hostel,
the original one, Hostel and the 2. Shot for shot remake. Yeah, so big horror guy. So they put his name in it, and that caught his attention. And Jon Watts, he had been making short films for a while, but because of that trailer, he was able to get on Eli Roth's radar and create his first feature film, Clown. And as
that's how you do it.
Yeah, as we were talking about last time. So if you don't know who Jon Watts is, he went on to direct a movie called Cop Car, and then after that, he has directed the new Spider-Man movies. What are they called? Like the Home Spider-Man
Homecoming,
movies,
yeah.
Or
No Way Home, Far From Home, Homecoming.
Yeah, so that
Home.
What a awesome progression of a career, just from essentially making a mock trailer and tagging your favorite filmmaker in it.
Man, oh man!
So
yeah, I didn't realize all that. That's cool.
But so what I was talking about was kind of the time frame. I believe that trailer came out in 2010. The movie was filmed or started filming in 2012. And then released internationally 2000. Am I saying internationally weird? Internationally. I don't know.
Internationally.
I'm from the Midwest. West. I don't know where I'm from. Released internationally 2014 in the US in 2016. And it's like on streaming services. I've seen it around for a long time, and I've never watched it. And this is the first time I checked it out. Yeah. And yeah,
right.
That is pretty much all I got. We are a show where we review schlocky movies, or movies that we might think they're cool to talk about. We usually pick things off of Tubi because everything is free to watch on there with commercials. We definitely spoil the movies that we watch, so don't expect to...
We spoil the movies we don't watch.
Yeah. There's no mystery here. That's for sure. So wherever you're watching, please like, comment, and especially subscribe so we can get those subscriptions, baby. But yeah, let's get right into it. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the good in this movie. We're going to talk about the bad in this movie. Then we're going to have kind of a general discussion of the schlock of this movie. And that discussion runs the gamut. But what we're going to start with is our web of schlock. You know, who made this movie? How are they connected? Who are they connected to? Chris, What do you got for us?
Trying to streamline it. You talked about Jon Watts a lot. His co-writer wrote a movie called Frank and Robot in like mid 2000s, and then he went on to co-write the first of the new Spider-Man with him. The producer you talked about, Eli Roth, which it does feel in his wheelhouse. And the only other one I want to talk about is the actor Peter Stormare or Stormare. I'm not sure, probably pronouncing that wrong and butchering it. But man, what a great actor. I love him. I love seeing him. And he's been in so many great movies and just great roles. Fargo, Constantine,
is he German?
Armageddon.
Is that his nationality? Is he German?
Swedish.
Because
he was
Swedish.
Born in,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I said the wrong thing. I was like, it's the German guy that's in everything, but no, not German, Swedish.
The
I
Swedish
like that
guy
even better. Yeah. That makes me even cooler. Yeah, great actor. No, I love watching him.
Great actor. It's just once I saw him in it, I was just like, oh man, it's just super fun to watch.
Yeah, like scrolling through IMDb, just looking up like who's in this movie. I didn't really recognize anyone, but I saw him in it, and that actually like really upped the excitement for me.
Yeah, the two leads have done a fair amount of TV here and there, and like the lead in this has like a cameo in one of the Spider-Mans, and they have a small role in West Side Story as like some cop. I mean, just a lot of small parts.
Haven't we had a small role in West Side Story at some point in our life? Yeah,
it's true. It's true. So yeah, that's really it. I mean, a lot of these people came up with Jon Watts and continued with him in some aspect, or at least for a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into the good and the bad.
So, well, yeah, I'll fire off my good and bad really quick. Just going off of kind of what we were just talking about, the actors. I thought the acting in this movie was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think the child acting was maybe not so great, but you know what? It's a movie full of kids, and I think that's really maybe kind of a mixed bag, right? You never know. What do they say? Don't work with kids and animals, right. Just because you don't exactly know what you're going to get.
Dog in here, yeah.
Yeah. So, but overall, I did enjoy the acting in this movie. One of my favorite things, I think we have a picture of the book, but I like the overall concept of this movie, the Cloyne. So for those who don't know yet, the clown is based off of like this ancient evil demon, and it eventually evolved. The idea of it evolved over the years to make it so that like people would not be afraid of it, and it's like this goofy thing, and I really like stories that do that, where we take something like relatively kid friendly and innocuous and say, oh no, the origins are much darker, like the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus or something. Santa Claus was actually Krampus or something, or the Tooth Fairy was actually like this demon that like collects your teeth. It doesn't always work out. I've seen plenty of horrible movies that try this premise, but I don't know. It's something that I always seems really innocuous appreciate.
Actually has a dark history.
Yeah. And because like partially some of that like is true, like in the world of folklore, like many like Grimm's fairy tales, right? They're like just super
you read the
dark.
Originals are so much darker, and then they get Disneyified, right?
Right. So another thing that I really liked, they get Disneyfied and make millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. So, what else did you like?
Another thing that I liked, this really stuck out to me, the videotape when she is investigating the house that he found the clown suit in. She like gets that chair and she finds the video camera that's looking at the chair. And I think we have a picture of it, but it just does like this really blurry reveal of the Cloyne demon. And I didn't know that they were going to do like a full on reveal of the demon later in the movie. And this, just at this point in time, I was thinking that we would never actually see it. And I was thinking of like a low budget movie. And I thought that this was like a
smart way to do
cool way to show it. Yeah. Like it foreshadowing, like, oh, this is what could happen. And so that just really stuck out to me. I think that there were just in general a lot of really cool ideas floating around in this movie. However, that leads me into my bad. I think there were a lot of great movies in this idea that just in the end didn't really pay off in the way that I guess I would have liked to have seen them pay off. So we have the book that I already talked about as like a possible source of like information about this thing and perhaps a way to defeat it. That never really goes anywhere. We have that video. She just sees the video for a split second. Like, wouldn't you take that and then like go watch it? Granted, she doesn't have enough time to do that, but I just think that's a weird thing to put in. The chair, I thought that would come into play. Her pregnancy, that did sort of come into play, but
like it should have.
But like they didn't talk about it enough throughout the movie. Like we just get the intro, the beginning scene. We're like, yeah, I'm pregnant. We're like, oh, great. But that never seems to be a driving factor for Kent. Is that his name? The main character?
Yeah,
Clark?
I don't remember.
Kent Clark. That's
Clown.
Superman, right?
His name's Clown.
The Clown. And
I
it
think
never
it is
seems
like-
to be like a huge motivator for him through the movie. Like, oh, I'm having another kid. I have to not become a demon.
He doesn't learn about it until he's already killed the kid at the hotel. That's when he learns out that his wife's pregnant.
I thought he found out right after the birthday party.
No, because that's why he opens the door and says, "Take me home." That's how she gets him out.
Oh, yep, that's right. So I thought that would have played a bigger part other than the demon like grabbing at her stomach. And also, I read that on IMDb because I always check out the parental guidance info on IMDb because I just want to make sure that like our audience, I want to put that information out there so that our audience know what they're getting into. Because a lot of these movies, they get really bloody and violent and sexual, and that's not everybody's bag. And so
really,
if that's not, I know, but you know, if you don't want to see that and you want to know what you can and can't watch the kids, I always put that in. The info on this one said that like he like tries to eat her unborn fetus. And I was like, holy moly. Like, and I'm like calling people up, like, you won't like this movie. Don't watch it. And then it got to that part. I'm like, oh man, here it comes. And it's nothing.
He scratches her stomach.
Yeah. And the implication is there enough to make it terrifying. But they, even with that, they could have built the story a little bit more. He didn't even say anything.
Yeah. We're going to tear into that. What else you got good?
I don't know. I got so excited. I knocked all of my notes.
Well, we're
all over the place.
Let me throw my good and bad in. Let's get to Schlock.
Yeah. All right.
So I agree with you. I thought the acting was good. I thought the directing was really good. I thought the sound was good. This was a well-made movie. What I really liked was that it was a dark fairy tale treated like, at least in the beginning, what would really happen if this happened. Like, I liked the slow progression of the main character and what he would do. So I think the bad for me, that I don't have any specific bad. I have more like a lot of bad that kind of just goes into a lot of different areas. So we'll get to that in Schlock. The problem is it opens up too many great possibilities, and then it chooses the worst of those. Yeah. And you just mentioned it. We don't go anywhere with the book. We don't go anywhere with the pregnancy. We don't go anywhere with the chair. We have all these great things. Even here's something that I loved was the dark fairyland. I think we have a picture of that.
Yeah, that was a very cool set piece. I enjoyed that very whole fun house.
And it feels like you could set the end of the movie here, but this is really just a lead up to going back to the house. And ending the movie at the house is thematically fine, but it's visually very boring. And we've already been there. We've already been through houses, right? And you have this great location. Agreed. So it's just, and where else would you fight a clown demon? Right? So I feel like
it was
their home. Yeah, a lot of great ideas. and they chose the one that was just the least amount of fun for me. And the fact that they had these cool ideas in the movie was a good thing. And so that good thing led to a bad thing, I guess. So that's really it. It's very nebulous, but when we get into Schlock, I'll bring up a couple things that I have problems with.
Well, if you're ready to get into the Schlock, buddy,
all right.
I'll just ride the coattails of your last statement there, like with the Funhouse. So I think one of the things that stuck out for me, and this is, I want to say it's bad, but it's just the movie is written differently than how I would have liked it. So it starts off immediately with him getting the clown suit.
It doesn't wait 10 or 15 minutes for it to start up. It's and
I would have liked to have seen, like, who is this guy? Is this someone we should like? And I think that they try to do double duty with, he's getting a clown suit for his kid for his birthday party. So of course he's a good guy, but I would have liked to have seen the family and seen some themes built up prior to that. And then the same thing with the ending, like the movie just arcs in kind of a weird way. Yeah, that Funhouse, that should be our final set piece. That should be our climax.
Right.
And then the time that they use for the climax at the end, that should be like some sort of aftermath.
That's one way to go about it. And I would like that movie. There's another way that I would like to see too. Before we get further on, there's lots of great moments, like the red hand, like just this transition. It's just so smart and so simple, and just lots of great imagery, right? And just
what happens, he bites off the Boy Scout's finger,
right,
and runs off into the night, and then
we have a hand slap. Yeah, and then they go hang it on the wall because evidently it's close to Thanksgiving, and they're making hand turkey paintings, which I remember doing.
Yeah, red hand turkeys.
Yeah, I made hand turkey paintings last year.
I'm doing it right now.
So something that's interesting I want to talk to you about is we switch protagonists. So the first half of the movie, Kent is the lead, and so you're right. He gets the clown costume, and what I love is that he's like, I can't get it off, and so he's trying different things, and then he goes to the doctor, and then she rips his nose off, which is awesome, and all these different things. He goes to work, and then he realizes his hair has become his real hair, right? And it goes to the point that he does what he has to do. And that leads us to one of my favorite shots. This was a laugh out loud moment. If we can pull up the picture for Confetti Brains. So he is trying to do the right thing, and he blows his brains out and
kill himself so he doesn't turn into the demon.
More so than he already has. But now we know it's too late, because it's not blood, it's color confetti.
Yeah, man. That is a really interesting observation, because like now I didn't even notice it. Now I'm thinking about it, so here we get this it's not even symbolism, it's quite literal, that our protagonist is dead. He kills himself. And then from there
he is the monster.
Yeah, he's the monster from there.
And and then we cut to her, and she says, I'm going to go find him.
And she starts taking action.
And she becomes the protagonist.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's interesting. That might be another one of the reasons why it didn't sit well with me, because I didn't catch on to that maybe the way I should have.
And that's something I really like, because what do you do when your protagonist is becoming a monster, and he's went as far as he can go, and it's the harbinger's like, kill yourself, because you're going to be turned into this demon. Yeah. And so he does. And then even after that, he tries to cut his head off in a really kind of Home Alone-y slapstick way that I'm like, there are other ways to cut your head off.
Yeah. I on one hand, I was like, the saws seem really cool. On the other hand, I was like, I mean, but that seems like there's a lot of ways you could just really hurt yourself and have a terrible life afterward.
Right. But I mean, he's already having a terrible life because he's got the demon skin on. So then she becomes the protagonist. Now, what's interesting is then at the end of 2 and 3, like the demon goes to her, bring me one more child and you can have your husband back. And so that's a moral choice. That's That's what I love about horror movies, is that it good horror movies, they make you confront choices and different paths and see the light and the dark and the gray of all of it, right? And she does, man. She takes that kid and she drives her to where they had met. Now, here's where the movie pulled its punches.
I didn't like it. I didn't like that moment.
I like it. I would have done a movie without it. I would have done the Funhouse one you're talking about. But if you have it in there, if you have that in there, then you have to go the whole way. You can't just like, she was going to do it, but then the cop followed her for no reason. There was no reason for that cop to be suspicious.
Well, here's the thing. Here's where the reason I didn't like it. I like okay, we're going to go here. Like that's really dark. Okay, then let's go there. However, here we see like the problem with theme, and that so she herself is going to become a new mother. She is a mother. And so if had that theme been woven in there a little bit better. So she sees the kid standing alone, and she starts walking up to it, and we know what she's thinking. And had she gone up to it and then said, "Hey kid, where's your mom?" and actually like saved him, then that would have given us the trigger as the audience to know that her arc of being a mother and being a protector is complete. But instead, the kid's mom saves him, and then the other little girl comes and gets in her van, and then we just kind of it's very tangential, I guess, and that's my problem with that. So
it is, but if you're going to go there, let me finish that train of thought with how the movie should have ended with that. They should have, in one version of it, if you're gonna go dark and you're gonna have that choice, and then she chooses that path, right? And then you just magically have, it's like a moralistic Deus Ex Machina, right? They come in and save you from making the evil choice. Lucky you, but you still took that kid away. You still did that thing, right? And so if you're going to go that path, because she wanted to have a father for her two kids, which is you could also argue that that's a motherly thing, is to protect your own, even at the cost of hurting others. It's a dark version of it, but that's the whole point of horror, is to explore these things, right? So what if the clown had been there and killed the child and given her husband back? Yeah. And then you end with just this 10 minutes of just really awkward, having to live with the choices you make, because go ahead.
So she takes the kid, and then it just smash cuts to her screaming. And then we find out that she's in labor. It's a time jump. She's in labor, having a child.
That would be awesome.
And her husband is there holding the newborn. And so we know that she made this terrible decision.
Right. And that's already been laid in there with the Carlson character, because he says he wishes he were dead because his brother took 5 terminally ill kids and sacrificed them to the demon to free him.
That apparently no police were looking for.
Well, they were all terminally ill, so he probably just faked their death in the first place, and then shuttled them off at the night.
Back the bones.
They were barely alive, and then he sacrificed them. But someone already. So the brother makes the choice for the other brother, right? And then the other brother has to live with that guilt. That's already been set up. And so the wife makes the horrible choice for the husband, and then the husband has to live with the guilt. What if he leaves her? Or what if there's so many different ways that you could explore this that they don't. And if you're going to even broach on this subject, then you can't just walk away from it. So I thought that was kind of bad. That's not the version of the movie I would have made. But if you're going to go there, then you need to go there. The last Halloween movie, I had a problem because it did a very, very similar thing, where it goes to this weird moral area and this really dark thing, and then it just kind of pulls it away and but we're not going to go there because that would make audiences feel awkward. Then don't even hint at it.
So as far as going there, that was kind of in my bad schlock, is that I feel like you haven't seen the trailer, right?
No.
So in the trailer, the clown looks more clowny. Right here in this, it looks more like it's a living creature, but in the trailer, it looks more clowny. And I actually wish they would have gone that route, because or they would have really gone the dark direction, right? Because I just kind of found it hard to believe that like there's this lore of this creature that lures children, but this dude is terrifying looking. So if you remember Whittle Wobby, the kid that's like bugging him outside of his like hotel apartment thing, Whittle Wobby there, part of the hot tub club. He like keeps bugging him because he's a clown, but this dude is absolutely terrifying to look at. Like there's nothing fun about him. There's nothing alluring about him.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, anybody in their right mind would go running, screaming from this dude. And so I wish they would have just taken it ultra dark, or they would have put in some sinister comedy with it.
And the other problem I have is that scene there when he goes to try and cut his own head off and has the two saws put together. There, it's this unfortunate accident that kills little Robbie, right? And then he's able to eat the body, and that's another free pass for the morally uncomfortable audience. Like,
right, because he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. Oh, it's okay. He died on accident, so I guess you can eat the body.
Yeah.
No.
We're talking about little Robbie getting killed and these kids getting eaten. This is something that came up with my girlfriend and I while we were watching this, like kids getting killed and eaten. And we were like, oh man, is this like, really brutal? Is this like really dark? And it is. The answer is yes, it is dark. But is it too dark for like a mainstream audience? And I kept comparing it to the new It Chapter 1, where he like rips a kid's arm off. Well, in Chapter 2, I think he like eats a kid in a fun house. And so I watching this movie, I couldn't help but compare it to that. And I don't know. In this, it sat different with me than it did in It. I guess I just wanted to bring that up. This funhouse scene here, that was something. It reminded me a lot of Die Hard, when John McClane is walking around crawling around in the vents. And this scene for me is a perfect example of something that I felt like it could have been very tense. But it ultimately it kind of fell flat for me. Like the tension didn't build up enough for me here.
And especially for a set piece at the end of the film, that was one of the worst bits of direction or editing or whatever, or music. It did not have the tension that it should have.
Yeah. Something just didn't sit right on it.
So
for sure.
So the whole movie didn't sit right with me. And it has to do with a little bit, even though I liked the movie and there's a lot of things I really liked, the reason that I also don't like it is this weird nihilism and this weird absurdism in a lot of modern horror that so they're twofold. One, the happenstance of like, he needs a clown costume and it just so happens that he has handy the demon clown costume.
Right.
Like what are the odds?
An unlucky guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And usually what's nice about horror is that a lot of it is they bring it on themselves in some way. Right. This is not brought on him in any way. This is very Kafkaesque, right? This is very like you wake up and you're a bug, right. You found a clown costume for your kid's birthday party and you put it on and now you have to deal with the consequences. And then it just goes through that. The other thing that I don't like is that they brought up the book, they brought up the chair, they brought up the video camera, but no one does any real research to figure out how to stop this. So there's as soon as the Carlson says, kill yourself, the movie was really over for me, because then it was an exercise in do the right thing. Yeah. Right. And so he can't kill himself, but he can go have someone kill him. Right. And so all these people have to die and there's no hope. Like, even if it's a horrible, sad ending, you need hope somewhere in that horror movie to care, right? In Act 2, there's absolutely no hope. Like, the only hope you get is the demon says, "Bring me one more kid," but we know that's not real. We know that's not going to work, right? So, like, if she had researched in the book and then she brought the chair over to his house, and like, if there was something where we're like, okay, it probably won't work, they're probably all going to die, but if they do X, Y, and Z, I can see how it could have a happy ending. You've got to have that potential, right?
Right.
And that potential was not there. And I think that's what made me, like, the longer I sat with the movie in my head, the less I liked it, even though, like, coming out of the movie, I really liked it. It's because there was no hope. And, you know, I know most horror movies have endings where everyone dies, and I'm okay with hope getting dashed, but you can't dash hope if there's no hope. And so, you know, a lot of Eli Roth movies have that vein of nihilism of like, there's no hope, so why am I watching it?
Yeah. You know, I made it sound like I'm a huge Eli Roth fan at the beginning. I'm a fan of his enthusiasm and his love of horror, but I really haven't seen an Eli Roth movie that I'm like, yeah, that's a good horror movie. And I think, man, I think you just hit the nail on the head for me. So we are starting to run out of time. Oh, we are out of time. So
any last thoughts?
I have a lot of last thoughts, but unfortunately we can't get to them. So if you're watching this and you have things to say, please comment, tell us all about it. Tell us what you would like to have seen. But yeah, that's all the time we have. What is our movie for next week, Chris?
Well, because next Monday is the closest day before Easter, it's a movie called Hank and Mike.
Hank and Mike. All right. We'll check it out. I'm Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson. This is Chris Anonymous. We've been compelled by Schlock, and we will see you next week with Hank and Mike. Peace.
Schlock, schlocky, schlock, schlock, schlock. I am compelled by schlock, compelled by schlock, compelled by schlock. Wait, no.